It's time for our monthly sync up with the stars. Our go-to intuitive astrologer, Stevie Calista, is back to decode the cosmic energy of February 2026. And this month is powerful. Stevie helps us understand what the universe is whispering or shouting right now. We'll talk about how to use this month's astrological energy to live your most aligned and magical path. If you've been asking, is it time? This episode will help you get some clarity. Hi, Stevie.
Hi.
Wow. Even before taping, we've been talking about how excited we are to discuss the energy that is going on in February.
Yeah. Remember when we talked about it's go time or let's go?
Yes.
It just
LFG, basically.
yes, it started.
We can
Yeah.
feel it. January went by in a second, which it doesn't normally feel that way.
Yep.
And it was like a very quick wind up, I'd say. And here we are.
Yeah. We had Neptune move into Aries already in January. And I don't know about you, but I felt it in my body. There was
Yes.
almost like some emotions coming up. I'm like, oh, what is this stuff? It's just what's become subconscious is becoming more physical. And so I think that's going to be a big theme of this year is just like feeling the stuff in your body and finding outlets to move it, whether that's emotions or anger or rage. We're just going to feel things so much more physically.
Yes, it's really bringing it into that 3D of ourselves. It really is bridging it.
For sure. And we start February in the eclipse window. Astrologers say about 30 days before an eclipse, which the eclipse is actually on the 17th of February. And we'll go deeper into that, but we're in the window. So, like, we're in eclipse energy already. And
Wow.
that also is playing into the intensity.
Which I think we all are feeling personally and collectively.
Definitely.
Big time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with that first week. And I believe we start February 1st with a full moon.
Yes, we do. So the first week, I have the 1st through the 8th. And I want to remind everybody there is so much Aquarian energy in this week. And so, Aquarian energy, you really feel the pulse of the collective frequency, even if some people are tuned into that all the time. If you have Aquarius in your chart or 11th house stuff in your chart, you'll feel the pulse. But all of us are feeling it now. And so, it's collectively very loud. In some ways, it feels a little bit like 2020, doesn't it, to
It
you?
does
Like,
actually.
whew,
Yes.
you can feel a big shift. So on the 1st, we start with a 13-degree Leo full moon. And this one, we have Sun, Venus, Mercury, Mars, and Pluto are all in Aquarius. So there's the moon over in Leo, and then everything else is opposing the moon. And so what that means is there's an emotional check-in with you as an individual and your place in the collective. Because what happens with Pluto and Aquarius, and we've been talking about this for years, Robin, like we're in the shadow years of the Aquarius energy, which is where the collective has lost its power. And also where we cancel each other and we don't take the individual in mind and how the individual will play out into what's best for the group, which was similar in 2020. We were all doing what was best for the group and we lost our own individual self. And so this full moon's really going to highlight that for you. It's going to bring you into, hey, where do I belong in the collective, in the causes, in the fight, in the whatever your place is? Because I think that there are people that are on the front lines standing up. There are artists and healers doing their own work that bring in this energy. There's so many different groups of people and how you can play into the group. And I think this woman's going to be a reminder of that because I think there's a lot of shouting right now around, you guys all need to speak up and stand up. And that's not everybody's job,
I
right?
actually am glad you're saying that because there's different ways of making a difference for the
Yes.
collective.
Yes. Actually, my friend, she was like, during the French Revolution, the artists didn't stop painting. He didn't
Yes.
stop creating music. That's such a good reminder of how we all play into the collective energy frequency. Because remember, you guys, this is an energy frequency. You could stay in your home and pray and meditate and make a difference. And not to say you need to spiritually bypass what's happening in the collective. I think we all need to find our way. And I think this full moon's going to highlight that. Like, what's your part? What's your individual role in this?
So it feels like everyone listening, make sure you're asking yourself that this first week, what part do I play?
Yeah. And also, Leo full moons are a check-in of the heart. How's your heart? Do you need to nurture it? Do you need to create something? Do you need to grieve? Do you need to express or create? That's what also this full moon will be asking of you is to find the balance and don't forget your own heart because we're not meant to hold everybody's suffering. That's insanity.
You're so right. But we definitely need the reminder because so many of us are empaths and think you're feeling it, number
Mhm.
one, but also then you're like, what can I do? And
Yeah.
sometimes you see things and you're like, I should be doing more because you feel like it needs to be more public.
Yes.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely. And I think this year too, we're going to be called to take more action. With things moving into Aries, we're going to be called to take responsibility for ourselves, but that comes inward first. And we always talk about this. I know we're a broken record, but like you guys, the way we go into unity consciousness is we stand for something together and we go inward and do our own healing. And that is so productive. How do you talk to your children? How you talk to your partners? How you nurture yourself? That energetically raises the vibration and then it dissipates the shadow and it unites us.
Definitely. It's
Yeah.
so important. And I do feel like in this last year, we've had the opportunity to go inward and understand who you are and be that. That's enough.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the big one. We also have Uranus stationing direct on the third, which when you have Uranian energy, you have change, innovation, liberation, freedom, and sudden things happen. So if you have a sudden aha moment, or if you're seeing the collective shift and change and kind of shock, because that's what Uranus does, but ultimately he sets us free into a more authentic, liberated version of ourselves. So it's going to feel electric this week.
Wow. I was trying to think about the last time that you've said Uranus is stationed and how long is it? Is it just the day that it's there?
That's a great
Okay.
question. It's usually the few days leading up and the few days after that you really feel it. Because
Okay.
when a planet starts to move into a different direction, it's like their energy is just stronger in our body.
Yeah.
So usually that whole week and even the days following, you'll definitely notice Uranian energy, which it's really important to get into your body and ground because it feels like your nervous system can get overstimulated. And that's just a theme this whole
I
year.
was just going to say, wow.
Again, we've been saying that forever, but I'm telling you, you're going to physically feel like you need to burn it off.
Yeah, you definitely brought this up in the forecast for the year.
Yeah.
And now we're really feeling it.
Yeah. And something else to mention too, the first 2 weeks of February, Saturn's going to be at the last degree of Pisces, where Neptune was in January, which when you have a planet at the last degree of the last sign of the entire zodiac or any last degree, it gives you this, oh my gosh, I have to get it done. It gives us like frantic, oh shit kind of energy. And so you're going to feel Saturn do that, which is going to call for responsibility, but it's another reason to really get into your body because it will pass and we'll start to move into new energy. But there's a little bit of a heaviness, let's say, with that.
So these first 2 weeks are bringing, it seems like a lot of not only intense energy, but opportunities to really reflect
Yes,
and
for
take
sure.
action.
And take action. Yep. But it might not be quite clear yet in your place. So don't rush it. Give yourself space to integrate these new energies and frequencies because I already feel that with Neptune moving into Aries. I'm like, oh, I need to feel into this and give myself a moment,
Yeah,
recalibrate.
definitely. And just going back to that Saturn for one sec, I know we've talked about on the podcast before that it's about responsibilities. It's also teaches lessons. So you may end up really being able to see that.
Yes. Now you're at the end of that cycle. So this is where integration happens usually. And the only other thing this week, I have two things actually. We celebrate Imbolc, which is the halfway point when the sun is at 15 degrees of Aquarius on the third. Some people celebrate it the second. And that's really the halfway point between the solstice and the equinox. And so this is really where we start to see the days lengthen and start to come into that fertile energy.
So excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Like every day and every minute that it's a little bit lighter out, I am just being in such gratitude.
Return of the light.
So
And
let's
then
celebrate.
yes, seriously. And then on the 6th, we have Mercury moving into Pisces. So it gives a little bit of a break between the Aquarius pileup that we have. And Mercury in Pisces is the poet and the meditator and the creative, the dancer. So it's like all of our minds will go into more of a compassionate, creative, spiritual zone. So it's a really good time to write poetry and listen to music and go in that like more spiritual, watery realm of things.
Ooh, that's a nice little break in the
But
energy.
Yes, but with Pisces energy, and we've been living this for the last couple of years, you can get more drained because you're more sensitive. So, like our minds, if you're doing a lot of talking or extroverting or socializing, your brain can start to be like, I need a break. So, make sure that your mind is getting rest and solitude and not by stimulating yourself on your phone. Think
Yes.
something much more calm. So, just a reminder of that.
That's helpful. And it's a good excuse to either go ground if it's not too cold, sit outside, or listen if you need a guided meditation or
Exactly.
listen to certain sound frequencies and just come into yourself and clear.
Yep. Yeah. So that's it for the first week. Um,
That's it.
that's it.
I feel like people are going to need to report back on what happens to them or what they're feeling this first week
Yes.
because,
Yes. Please let us know.
yes.
The second week is big too, though. This is the 9th through the 15th. Venus goes into Pisces on the 10th. So she brings even more of that poetic, solitude, watery, relaxation mode into it. This is really where we can feel compassionate and really feel into our empathy. This is where, like, Venus in Pisces is like the one that worships God, the one that is connected to all. And so that's going to bring us more into our feeling center. So if you have big feels this week, let them flow. They keep showing me this image of get into the bath and put on music that makes you feel things so that you can get some of it out, or the
Yeah.
shower, or put on
Yeah.
headphones and let yourself escape into the feeling of things. On the 13th is when Saturn moves into Aries. So the first 13 days we're in that 29 degree. This is where Saturn moving into Aries, we are all going to feel this almost getting slammed into our physical body of the I am self. And this is where we're going to start to really feel like, okay, I need to take responsibility for myself and I need to do new things. And actually, on the 14th, Saturn and Neptune meet up together. So they got really close last year, but they didn't touch. And this is where they touch. And they meet at the 0 degree point of Aries, which is the very beginning of all things. It's the birth point of the zodiac. It's the I am. It's where we individuate. If Pisces is like where we go back to source, Aries is where we're like, oh, here I am. I'm an individual and I'm meant to have a human experience. And so these two meeting together is really a rebirth of self. So not only the responsibilities that you need to take for yourself, but also the energy behind it, your beliefs behind it. And essentially, from this point on, we're all going to be reinventing who we are. And we're going to be
Wow.
given more permission to like be a human and experiment and try new things. Aries doesn't need to have it all figured out. It just wants to move forward and strategize and start. This is where we're all going to be like, okay, I'm going to be more bold and courageous to do these things for myself. And it's self-focused. That's the inner
That's
work
so
of,
interesting
yeah,
considering what we started talking about with the collective.
definitely.
I need to also say, and Stevie, you haven't had an opportunity to listen to this, but I'm going to just say to everyone listening, you'll have to also listen to Michelle Nolan's tarot forecast for February because this comes up in the biggest way using the same phrases and
Yeah.
words. And I know you both, I know the two of you know each other, but did not talk about this.
No, we have
And
not.
so, what a gift for me to be able to sit in on both before everyone else and hear what you're both saying and how it is absolutely coming from the same source, meaning the universe or
Yeah.
spirit, because there's no way that you would both, this idea of the I am
Yeah.
and this idea of rebirth and being this new you because of all the work that you've done up till now without maybe even realizing you were doing it.
Right.
And for you to be able to say, and it's going to happen right around this specific date is huge. Everybody needs to understand how big it is. And I would believe that we are going to be feeling that and hopefully looking at it as something exciting. I think some people may feel a little nervous.
Yeah, I think so because it's like you're going to be met with a new version of
You
yourself.
are. Remember that you're equipped. I think that's
Yes.
the thing that I hope people understand is that we're helping you navigate and also reinforcing you've been through so much and you
Yeah.
know so much about yourself with maybe you don't even realize it, but
Yeah.
this will help you realize that
Yeah.
you do.
100%. And I think too, it's going to make us all crave the humanness of this reality.
If
So not the perfect spiritual whatever. Even thinking in the social media sector, like we're all going to be craving, and I think we're already craving more of that human vulnerability, rawness, realness, messiness. So let your messiness just be okay. Have grace for yourself, especially in 2026 when we transition from the end to the beginning. We're talking about new realities here, but it's part of,
Yeah, and we're feeling it. And I
yeah.
think this whole idea of being in body, like we are in body, we're embodying, you will still have the wisdom of your soul in you. But we did come here to have a human experience.
Yeah, we're messy
We're
creatures. We don't
messy
know what we're doing all the time.
at all. We
We're
really
not
don't.
meant to pretend like we are either. So I think we're
No,
all going to feel
exactly.
more permission to do that, which I'm excited for.
Me too.
On the next week, I
Yes.
have the 16th through the 22nd is the eclipse. This is the eclipse week. So, of course, all the weeks leading up to this, you're still going to feel this energy. This is at 28 degrees of Aquarius, and it's on the 17th, and it's a solar eclipse. And this is not visible from the US. I wrote that down. The thing about this eclipse is that we have Sun and Moon in Aquarius, and there's a square to good old Uranus in Taurus. And so we've talked about this, Robin. Uranus in Taurus, he's finishing up his time. He's going to be moving into Gemini. We spoke about that on the yearly forecast, but he's been asking us, like, what is safety? What is worthiness? What are your security needs? What are your physical needs, like financial needs? All these things. We've been working through all of this. Not a coincidence that when Uranus traveled through Taurus, a lot of us went out on our own, didn't stop working from the office. Like we did stuff financially that was to liberate ourselves from this. This eclipse is tense because it's a square. There's challenge, and it means change. It means this is the beginning of change for humanity as a whole. So I would not be surprised if we saw financial things happen here, unexpected things with the economy. I don't really know, and not to instill fear because Uranus again liberates us. So whatever happens is for the highest and best of the collective. But this is definitely an electric eclipse, and it is very intense around humanity as a whole, like the outside world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's major.
Yeah, it's major.
Oh
And
my
eclipses, just to remind everybody, they're peaks in energy where the soul really says, hey, it's time. Take a right, take a left, go straight. We have to change. And this one is specifically says humanity needs to change. So, yeah, the collective needs to change. We need to change our future, basically.
We can feel that now, that there is an energy that's leading us and showing us that there's support too. So it is collective. And that's what this year is about.
100%. Solar eclipses are new beginnings. This one is a North Node eclipse. So there is, again, this energy around starting something new, but there's a challenge point.
Something that
There's,
is like the catalyst
yeah,
for it.
exactly. Something has to give, something has to change. And that you're going to feel this in your own life. Wherever Aquarius is in your chart, look to see what house the Aquarius sign is in. And that's where this is really showing up for you.
Ooh, I'm going to look that up.
Yeah. And then you can look up Taurus and see where that challenge point is. And those two places are where things are happening for you. But collectively speaking, this is definitely something peaks here.
So, on that note, again, if someone were to look it up, you'd see where Aquarius is in your chart and then where Taurus is.
Yeah.
And you're saying Taurus would be the challenge.
Yeah. Taurus would be the place in which you've been changing for many years now.
Got it. Thank you.
And this is, I'm not a big proponent of planting seeds and of intentions around eclipses because it's more about being open to whatever the soul is asking of you and not necessarily being in like a heavy manifestation mode, being more an observer with eclipses.
Okay.
But you do you, whatever you feel, take that with a grain of salt. The other thing this week is on the 18th, the sun moves into Pisces, and that's the last season of the year, astrologically speaking. So
Yes.
we have this explosive eclipse, and then we all go into Piscean territory,
Which is
to me
really feeling.
it almost feels like a nervous system trauma into, whoa, now we have to go rest for a second. That's what it feels like to me. So we welcome the last season of the astrological new year on the 18th.
And just to remind people of that Piscean energy, as you were just saying, you're going to want to slow down for a sec.
Yes, definitely. Pisces is, and it depends on where it is in your chart. It might be in like your work zone and you might feel motivated to work, but the energy itself is very flowy. Think about the great deep ocean of everything, or think about everybody collectively going back into oneness. Think about Christ consciousness, compassion, creativity, spirituality. And the shadow of Pisces is dissociation, disillusionment, distraction. And this is also why we felt collectively a little bit like lost in our place and a little bit dissociated. And Aries is going to push us to take action and be very different than that. But have some grace for yourself here because the Pisces season really asks us to go into solitude and commune with oneness. So it does require rest.
Yeah.
And we actually are moving into Mercury stationing retrograde. So we're already going to be asked to slow down and integrate.
Wow. I was going to say, when I think about Piscean energy, I think about feelings and being somewhat sensitive. But
Definitely. Yeah, Pisces energy is very emotional, sensitive, and intuitive. So, like, you really can connect with the listening side of it, your dream world.
yes, dream world.
So, pay attention to your intuition in your dream world because I think that's going to benefit you. That's if you quiet yourself enough and let yourself rest enough. And again, not by dissociating or distracting.
Yes.
Pisces is like the one that floats away and connects to a different reality. But yeah, just be conscious of that.
Absolutely. And I also think about it as a time to reflect, especially in the sense that it is the last sign in the zodiac before we enter the astrological new year. So I feel like those are the two things. So you're going to be a little more sensitive and it's an opportunity to reflect.
I find it so fascinating too that we go from Capricorn season, which is like, what are your systems and structures? Get to work, authorities. And then we go into Aquarius, which we all come together and look towards like, we're all one, we got to fight for the collective. And then we go into Pisces, which is like a shock.
Yes. And I feel like it's going to feel even more so this year.
Yes. What I'm hearing intuitively is be careful what you project onto other people during this time because a lot of the stuff that we're seeing is our own collective shadow of our own guilt that we're not doing enough. And so just be careful of the projections during this season because it's very easy to do that.
That's a really good reminder.
I
Thank
think
you.
we're all guilty of that.
Agree very much.
And so the last week, I don't have a lot. It feels like this month is it like amps up and then it crescendos at the eclipse and then we start to go back down again. The last week we have Mercury stationing retrograde. So we're going to definitely feel that slowdown. He actually goes retrograde on the 26th. So even the week prior, you're going to feel your mind start to slow. And this one's in Pisces. Okay. And Pisces Mercury, like we said, is already poetic and slower and dreamier and more in the feeling center. But when Mercury slows down and goes retrograde, it's even more of a call to stop, just slow down. I just wonder if there's going to be
Something that forces us to do that.
a forced
Yeah,
stop.
because for people who don't realize it, Mercury impacts our communication. So all different types of communications, whether those are conversations or it's internet, technology, all of that. So you may feel the slowdown some way. And that's where you need to also really be double checking everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Because things can just get lost in translation.
Yeah, because I know we live in a world where we still have to move forward. We still have to answer our emails and run our businesses and go to work and get our kids to school and all of that. But yeah, be Mercury retrograde, especially in Pisces, is so not logical. Normally, Mercury, like you said, is communication and it's like the Excel spreadsheet. It's the one that talks, writes, reads, right? Technology. It's very logical. It's very of the mind. But Pisces is the one sign of all of them that is not. It's feeling and intuition and creativity and spirituality. When Mercury already travels through there, it's more like that. But when it slows down and starts to move backwards, it's even more like that. So this is really a time to reflect on how you feel and connect to the other side. So like we're all going to be more intuitive if we give ourselves the space. We're all going to be connected in that way a lot more. And this one runs until March 21st. So the day after
That was going to be my question.
equinox. Yeah. So we're going into the astrological new year, the spring equinox, just barely in a retrograde. So it's really interesting because there's all this new energy and then it's
yeah. And then you have to sit in it.
sit in it, feel it.
You're going to feel it. And we're going to be talking about it.
Yeah. And I wonder too if we're going to feel a lot of grief at this time or just feelings that have been bottled up for a while. Pisces is like an exfoliation too. It's like where we let go fully.
And as you become into your new self or accepting of who you are now,
yes,
which let
it fall away. But you got to probably feel it.
I was just going to say, you're going to have to feel it. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, but I think as anybody listening or watching knows, after a good cry, you feel good. You know what I mean? Or after a good laugh, you feel good. So it's both
Definitely.
of those things. It can
Yeah.
be either or, and they're both helping you release and
Yeah.
become more of yourself.
And I feel like intuitively they're showing me this image of the more we rest during this time, and you guys probably aren't going to have a lot of mental energy. You're going to be a little bit tired and drained. So put less on your plate if you possibly can. If you use this time very wisely, it's very productive because once Aries season comes, and then we're into the Chinese New Year and the fire
Yes.
horse, like then you're going to feel replenished that you can like really go and move
Yes.
forward. So take advantage of this time if you can.
Thank you for getting us ready
Yes.
for all of this energy. We're so grateful for you. And I know that we're going to have a lot to discuss as we go into March, but even within February, we'll be in the Seeking Center community. You can come talk to us there or just DM either of us, Seeking
Yes.
Center or Farmhouse Moon on Instagram.
Yeah.
And you can check out more about working with Stevie and her offerings at steviecalista.com. You can check her out on Substack on her letter from the stars, which is amazing and highly recommend everyone subscribe to that. And thank you so much, Stevie.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.